iPhone 7 versus iPhone 8. Let's get down to the bottom of this. Coming up right now, let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to the iPhone 7 versus the iPhone 8 video comparison. Now, this video is not a speed test. I will be doing that in a separate video. We're going to talk about, is this really worth the upgrade here? What is really different here between these two smartphones? Because, everyone just looks at the visuals, judges a book by its cover. Why don't we take a look at what really is going on here in this upgrade? Now, some of you don't even think this is an upgrade, but I actually think it is an upgrade over the iPhone 7. So let's begin with the key specifications here. I'm not going to talk too much on specs here, but the iPhone 7 includes a 4.7-inch Retina display. It has a 12 megapixel 4K camera, 4K 30. It also has an A10 Fusion chip. It also has 2 gigabytes of RAM. It also has PowerVR 7XT graphics. Those are 6-core graphics there for gamers out there. It is a powerful GPU on the iPhone 7. Now over here on the iPhone 8, you do get the same 4.7-inch Retina display, although this one comes with True Tone enabled. You do get a 12 megapixel again on the rear. However, you can shoot in up to 60 FPS on the video side. You also do get 2 gigs of RAM, so no update on the RAM here. You do get an A11 Bionic chip, which Bionic really means nothing. All it is Apple's marketing team coming up with something to lure you into their processor game. But yeah, Apple A11 Bionic chip with Apple 3-core graphics. So they got their own graphics, in-house graphics built into the iPhone 8, which should lend to some better gaming performance. Okay guys, so going ahead and discussing the body, the build, and the design here. So when you first get these phones, are you going to notice that much difference when it comes to their overall design update? And the answer is not really. From the sides, they're pretty much identical. You can see the antenna line is at the same spot here on the iPhone 8 as it is on the iPhone 7. One nice touch though is you have no antenna lines on the rear. That's due to the glass design of the iPhone 8, and that is majorly an update, is the glass design. So with the iPhone 7, you had all aluminum builds. Even the jet black iPhone 7 was an aluminum polish build, which I thought was very scratch resistant. This is a much better build and design than a jet black iPhone 7, in my opinion. It might not look as classy, but it's still premium here. Now, to understand the real differences here between these, you have to take a look a little bit closer here. So, for example, on the iPhone 7, you can actually feel the cutout of the flash right there. You can feel that microphone hole. Right here, it's kind of under the glass here on the iPhone 8. So it just feels a little more premium. You could run your finger over that flash and you won't even feel it here. Also, another design element is there's no writing under the iPhone, giving this a cleaner look here on this iPhone. Also, again, no antenna lines here. Also, on the iPhone 7, you will see the text under the body. Now, on the front, they pretty much look identical. This is where you see no differences. And this is probably where people are a little bit upset too, is because you look at your phone from the front most of the time. But another thing you're really going to notice is the weight. The iPhone 8 is definitely heavier. It comes in at 5.22 ounces, which translates to 148 grams versus 138 grams on the iPhone 7. So the iPhone 7 was a small, light phone. This is still a small, light phone, and it's not as noticeable as like going from a 7 Plus to an 8 Plus, but it's still a heavier phone. So if you're going from an iPhone 7 to an iPhone 8, just expect a more premium, heftier build here. Now, in terms of software, you're not going to really notice too much of a difference here other than the included True Tone within the iPhone 8. So if I go into the control center and I long press on the brightness controls, you can see True Tone is enabled there on the iPhone 8, similar to what that feature was on the original iPad Pro. And this basically just makes the screen adjust to ambient lighting conditions. But other than that, if you came from an iPhone 7 and you went to an iPhone 8, your software is going to be virtually identical and you're not going to see any new upgrades. So upgrading your iPhone 7 to the latest iOS would basically make your phone feel extremely different than it did last year when you got it on iOS 10. So there's no real win here when it comes to this department for the upgrade to an iPhone 8. All right, guys, so let's talk quickly about the cameras here. There's not a huge change here either in the cameras because they both have 12 megapixel sensors that both shoot in 4K. But one of the big changes here is actually the file format. You get the H.264 265 format here for the iPhone 8, so it's going to be faster file transfers, as well as you get 4K 60 with a touched up saturation. So what I mean by that is that the iPhone 8 out of the box is going to give you a little more saturated colors when you take a photo. But in terms of their overall pictures, I think that, you know, it's definitely noticeable, but some people are not going to like this too much if you are the type of person who never really likes Samsung photos. Apple still stays a little bit more natural here, but the iPhone 8 definitely gets a little bit higher when it comes to the saturation here. So this is probably not the best object to do saturation. So let me go ahead and grab this orange screen protector case right here. So I'm going to take this picture here on the iPhone 7. And I'm gonna take that same photo over here on the iPhone 8. And I can already see right away that there's a higher saturation here for the iPhone 8. Let me go ahead and open those photos on both. And you can go ahead and open it here on the iPhone 8 versus the iPhone 7. So if you look closely, the iPhone 8 gives you a brighter photo and a little bit more saturated here than the iPhone 7. And other than that, you're not going to notice too much of a difference. The video is a little bit brighter, and the video with 4K 60 is just way better than what we've seen here on the iPhone 7 with its 30 FPS. That's just not, you know, at the same grade when it comes to 4K smooth. So if you do love to do video, I think that if that's one of your main features and you don't want to go $1,000 for the iPhone 10, this is going to be a fantastic little smartphone. I mean, it's pretty crazy how much this little phone can do. Okay guys, so speaking about the battery life on both of these, they're actually rated according to Apple at the same exact battery capacity in terms of hours. Now, it's actually down here on the iPhone 8, and that might cause for concern, a smaller size cell. But what some people don't realize is that this phone is more efficient with the A11 Bionic. So I actually got better battery life, even though this has an 1821 milliamp hour battery, down from a 1960 milliamp hour battery in the iPhone 7. Now, this one also gives you fast wireless charging, although that doesn't come out of the box. You have to buy a fast wireless Qi charger, which also this supports Qi wireless charging. You don't get that here on the iPhone 7. That's a nice feature upgrade here on the iPhone 8. Now, in terms of the real world practice, what I've noticed so far is I get maybe an hour to an hour and a half better battery life on the iPhone 8. And that's pretty much what I noticed so far. Now, if you turn on low battery power mode, you get much better battery life as well on the iPhone 8. So I think the 8 is an upgrade in terms of its longevity, lasting on a single charge. It also charges with better options. It's not super fast charging with that fast charger you got to purchase. Like, it's not like a Samsung fast charger, but it's still cool that you can actually do that here, maybe if you want to invest later on. Okay guys, so you might be wondering, how fast is the iPhone 8 over the iPhone 7? And unfortunately, it's not as fast as it's been hyped up to be. The A11 is not showing its strut just yet. That might change when we get into the 11.1 or when we get into iOS 12 next year. But right now, I don't see much differences at all between this phone, the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 8 here. I mean, look at that. It's almost identical in your day-to-day applications. Not much difference at all. So if you're picking up this phone and you're trying to get something that is going to be a speed demon over your prior iPhone 7, it's just not gonna please you there. Now, if you've been doing video editing and rendering on your smartphone on the iPhone 7, you're gonna see a noticeable increase here on the iPhone 8. It will really shine in heavier stuff. And you know what you do if you know you're not a heavy user. And heavy user, I don't mean you just open multiple applications day to day. I mean you do professional style of work on your phone. I don't know how many people are doing that, but some people do. And if you're that person, the iPhone 8 internally is a nice upgrade. But day to day, most of us out there, we don't need this kind of performance. It's not that much of an upgrade over the iPhone 7. And when I say we don't need this performance, I mean right now. As it stands right now, nobody was really asking for a major performance upgrade. People are focused on design this year, and that's why everybody is waiting their pants off for the iPhone 10. And I think, you know, a lot of people are going to be disappointed when a couple years from now or a year from now, when Apple gets rid of the notch, they're going to be like, oh, why did I buy the iPhone 10? Unless, of course, you're an upgrader every year, then that doesn't really matter. But anyway, the performance right now is not the fastest upgrade over the iPhone 7. But over time, I think you will see that power of the A11, which feels like it's a desktop class performance here on a phone. So going forward, this phone will last extremely long. Also, I do want to mention that the iPhone 8 actually has improved GPS performance. So if you want great GPS performance, this actually has better GPS performance than the iPhone 7. In addition to that, this does include Bluetooth 5.0. So if you connect to Bluetooth devices a lot, you're going to notice you get better Bluetooth connectivity here over the 4.2 over here on the iPhone 7. Now, one problem with that though is not all Bluetooth devices are 5.0 ready, but most of the Bluetooth devices that I've tested have already worked on the iPhone 8. Okay guys, so let's take a quick second to talk about the iPhone 7 versus the iPhone 8 in the calling and audio department. So again, we have no headphone jack. This is done for Apple. You're never seeing that again. That's my prediction. You will never see a headphone jack on an Apple product going forward. I think they're even going to diminish it from the iPad lineup. You might see it on the MacBook because that's a pro device, although some people say that that's not really a pro device anymore. But getting onto these phones, I didn't really hear too much difference when it comes to phone calling. Both held signal just fine. Never had a problem really on the iPhone 7. I don't think it's better than some Motorola phones out there. And I think even some Samsung phones do better on the signal, but it still got the job done here. Now, in terms of the stereo speakers, the iPhone 8, even though it's claimed to be louder, it doesn't really sound louder. It just sounds better. So what I mean by that is that the music, you're not going to be blown away by like, oh my God, it sounds so much louder. But you are going to be blown away by like, it sounds so much better, like clearer, bassier, crisper. That's what I could say about the stereo speakers and the audio on the iPhone 7 versus iPhone 8. All right, guys, so let's wrap this up with a conclusion here. Now, I know a lot of people are pissed off about how Apple is increasing their prices every year on their smartphone. Well, people keep buying them in droves, and it's basic economics, it's basic business. I mean, if a company has demand that is sky high, where they can't even keep up production on a phone, which most companies would probably grow like 150% if they were able to sell what Apple can sell, then Apple wouldn't be able to increase their prices. But because the consumer is so into these phones, they can do that, and they're going to continue to do it until it tests the limits. Now, I think the iPhone 10 has pushed people. We're going to see how this plays out. But even the iPhone 8 here gets a price increase over last year of about $30 or so. I think it's 50 actually on this guy in the base model. But what's nice is you get 64 gigs. But what's the real deal here? You buy an iPhone 7 today at Apple, you're paying about $549 for the base model. I think it goes up $100 for the 128 gigabyte model. Here on the iPhone 8, it's a substantial increase if you go to the 256 gig. You go from $699 to $849. So that's a huge price increase if you want to go 4 times the storage here on a iPhone 8. That's very different from Samsung, which gives you like a 64 gig phone, and you would pay like $50 to get another 128 gigs instead of like $150 upgrade on an iPhone 8. But the real deal here is I think not a lot of people are going to be doing this upgrade, and Apple has actually already slowed production of the iPhone 8. And this phone is really just for people who have an iPhone 6. iPhone 6s, and they're not crazy about the new design. They want to stay with their old iPhone, and I think this is maybe the last year we're going to see this design. I don't think Apple can pull this off one more time, and if they do, it'll be pretty hilarious, but I don't think a lot of people will jump on this design anymore. But the real problem, I think, is it's the design. People are visual creatures. We want to see change. We don't want to see the same thing repeated over and over again. It's basic evolution right there. Anyway, if you found this video helpful, enjoyable, it may help you make a decision on which phone to buy, if you're going to stick with your iPhone 7 or you're going to an iPhone 8, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up down below. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.